Welcome into an all-new episode of Panthers on Tap. I'm Curtis Rauen, joined by Bryson, Karbley, Ricky Raines, coming to you guys on a Tuesday night. Ain't gonna fuck that up. But no, man, it's good. We're happy to be back. We got our first preseason game in the books. I got a little new set behind me. So pretty excited about that. Look a little bit more official than just a blank tan wall with holes in it. So I appreciate it. My wife gave me a little surprise and appreciate and thank her for doing that. But hey, man, we're back. We're ready to talk some Panthers football. Bryson, Ricky, good to see you both. How y'all doing?
Good, dude. Yeah, I mean, even your camera looks a little better tonight, Curtis. I'm not sure what's going on, but everything's flowing good for you. But yeah, excited to get into the preseason game, talk about some highlights from that, and talk about what's next.
Yep, same thing for me, man. I'm just excited to be able to talk about a football game that was played already, and then preview another football game that's going to be played, and talk about practices coming up in the next couple of days. So yeah, dude, life is good.
Yeah, life is good. And speaking of that, we got a really good giveaway going on for y'all, and that can make life a little bit better for some of you. It's over there in Ricky's frame there, the Musim Muhammad signed frame jersey. We'll be giving that away as we approach preseason. The regular season. So again, all you got to do, subscribe to our YouTube channel, prove that you're subscribed. We'll put you in the giveaway, and we'll make that drawing right before the season starts. So we're excited to get things underway here. As always, if you're a first timer on this show, we start this thing off like we do every week, and that's what are we drinking tonight? So let's start. Bryson, what do you got on tap for us?
Yeah, I got a little commemorative beer for my vacation I'm taking starting tomorrow, going up to the wild, wonderful state of West Virginia, to my cabin up there. So I got a Country Roads Golden Lager. Take Me Home, Country Roads. It is not the best beer I've ever tasted in my life. I'll put it that way. It is from a brewery in Pottstown, PA, which is weird. That's Country Roads Take Me Home. But yeah, the flavor is not the best, but the can is cool and the words are cool. So that's why I bought it. And then I have a Hefeweizen in the cooler that I got up next.
Yeah,
Ricky?
I've had that before, Bryson. And I bought it thinking, this would be like a decent, easy crusher, right? But it'll be a little bit different than like drinking a Miller Lite or a Coors Light or whatever the hell it is. And it's just kind of basic, man. So I hear you on that. It can be a little bit disappointing. I've got another one of my saisons that is barrel aged in a Chardonnay cask from Boulevard Brewery. I've had this one before on the show. It's a good beer. I'm still clearing out fridge space so that I can bring in the new reinforcements. And then if we go past this one, I got a good old fashioned Utica Club tall boy in the Minecraft lunchbox tonight. So let's hope that I get to crack that bad boy open.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, I got a new one tonight. I feel like Ricky has had this beer.
There's not that many I haven't had, Curtis.
Yeah, exactly. It's from Tarboro Brewing Company. And it's a sexy canoe, and it actually kind of looks like a naked Ricky. It kind of looks like Ricky naked.
Don't tell anybody, but that's what I get my royalties from right there.
It's a very light beer. I don't know. I told the guys before, it's not that great, but it'll do. So, yeah, hey, we're ready to roll tonight. We got beers in hand, so let's talk a little Panthers football. Don't forget, we do have a super chat. It's that little money icon on YouTube. Send us some money. We would appreciate you guys and ask questions. We will be answering those throughout the evening. Just want to look into that here quickly. Carter, appreciate you as always tapping in with us. And Carter actually started his own podcast, so congrats to you, Carter. I hope we inspire you to create great things in Panthers content. So we do look forward to that. Earl Locklear, what's good, y'all? This is a name I honestly haven't recognized, so maybe this is a new listener or someone who's just chiming on YouTube for the first time. So we appreciate you, Earl. CJA tapping in. Latest depth chart just dropped. Honestly, nothing has changed. We'll talk about that in a little while. Keaton Bullock coming in. Let's go. Appreciate you tapping in again. And Pies. I always pronounce this wrong. Is it Paez? I think it's Paez. I'm sorry.
pretty
TC
sure
as always.
I believe it's paid. I think
that one I need to write down. I'm sorry. Dalton Hampton, let's go, boys. Back at it. We appreciate you. But yeah, let's tap in here to the game. Let's talk about the preseason game. So Bryson, you were at it. And I want to start off with Bryce Young, and I want to get your guys' thoughts on his short stint, the 10 to 12 plays that Dave Canales promised we kind of got. So, Bryson, start us off here. What did you think of Bryce Young play this past Saturday? Or Friday.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm losing days of the week here.
No, it's good. It's good. We're it's all jumbled up here in the preseason, but yeah, I thought it was good. You know, obviously, first drive could have been better, but the second drive comes in and you know, leads the team down the field, gets a touchdown to Coker. I would have loved to seen more. You know, I understand it's the 8 to 12 plays, 2 drives, really tops, but I think that's just me being a little stingy and wanting to see Bryce Young play football. But I thought, you know, when he was on the field, he obviously, you know, had that really good pass to McMillan, made some plays, avoided some pressure. I thought his play overall was good for, you know, the short amount of time that we got to see him. I don't really have any complaints on his behalf in the preseason game. But yeah, I was there, and shout out to the crowd, man. It was there was a lot more people there than I expected. You know, some of them being Browns fans, of course, but there were a lot of Panthers fans too. And I think the hype around Shedeur Sanders probably generated more people in Charlotte to come out, I'm thinking, but maybe not. And the city's just excited about the team. That's what I'm hoping. You know, it was loud for a preseason game. It was honestly, Curtis, probably more people there than a lot of the games we went to last year or the year prior of regular season games. So that was exciting to see, and hopefully, you know, that continues into the season throughout the year.
I thought that, so Bryce Young, you know, everyone likes to do the thing where you look at PFF scores, right? Like that's kind of like the starting barometer of kind of like going back on film and looking at something, right? Like, hey, this guy graded out really well, so let's take a look at him. Bryce Young was the second highest offensive grade for the Carolina Panthers in the preseason, preseason first game. The first highest was a guy that I think didn't get spoke about much, man, to be completely honest. And that's Ike Ekwonu. I thought that he actually had nice stuff. We'll talk about that. But Bryce, for me, you know, I've been in a couple spaces since the game, hosted one, been in one with our pal, friend of the show, JJ Hardy, Panthers Culture. And you know what? My first takeaway was, guys, the whole offense looked like it had those like back to school jitters on the first 2 snaps, right? Like everything just looked a little bit like, wonky is the wrong word, but a little bit sped up, a little bit jumbled, a little bit like pressure, a little pressing the issue a little bit. And Bryce, you know, it even showed up on the throw behind Chuba a little bit, right? The one throw that it went a little bit behind him. Chuba, maybe you could ask him to haul that in, but you could definitely ask Bryce to be a little bit more accurate with the white. Anyway, you watch him when he's throwing that thing, he's on the move, he's moving a little bit, but his feet are like fast. They're like little like pitter patter feet, right? And so like he just looked a little bit like it was, oh man, we're back. Like everyone's watching me again. But once he settled in, guys, like I thought he looked exactly like what we have talked about on the show of wanting to see him do and where to start and where to pick up from. His control of the offense, his feel for the pocket, right? Even on the sack that he took, he avoided, I believe it was Jatir Carter that allowed interior pressure coming up the middle. And I hate that because on that play, man, if you'd have had a little bit longer protection, there was a nice later developing concept that Canales and Idzik drew up for T-Mac on a deep post there that I thought he was going to have a shot at. But once he settled in, man, you saw Bryce have command. You saw him delivering accurate balls. I thought the placement on some of his passes were absolutely beautiful. The anticipation was elite tier again, S tier anticipation from Bryce Young in that first game in the small limited action that we saw. His legs are going to be a weapon once again. You saw that on the rollout on the touchdown that he threw, and the touchdown he threw to Jalen Coker, who also had a wonderful game. I'm sure we're going to talk a little bit about the receivers. But yeah, man, I'm very pleased with what I saw from Bryce Young, and I'm very pleased that we did see Bryce Young play in a preseason game.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was jitters too off the top. They came out kind of flat right away. Excitement, first preseason game. It's at home. You don't have fans at training camp. They're all kind of hyped up for that, I'm sure. But yeah, it was just, you mentioned you think Bryce would have wanted to have the one back against that he threw to Hubbard. I thought it was behind him. I think we all can agree on that. They gave up a sack. But what I loved is when they came out of that second series, the first play they throw, and this might be the one, maybe it isn't. They throw the 30-yard down the sideline to Tetero McMillan, and I don't know if you guys ever I'm sure we've talked about this in past episodes, but I can't remember the last time Carolina came out and took a deep shot on first down like that. I don't think I recall that much of last year at all. And there wasn't many deep shots in most games the way it was, but I'm talking first down plays. It was typical of Dave Canales to run the ball on first down. I feel like we talked about that last year a lot. And I think Dave Canales had even mentioned that, like, with the new weapons and with Bryce Young's comfortability within his offense, they can do a lot more early on in downs and take some shots here. And here's the play that you see Ricky throwing up here. So I think that was huge for me. And then, like Ricky said, I thought Bryce, and that's why I chose to put what I put on this banner, because I felt like that second drive is right what we saw in Atlanta last year in those last couple games of the season, where Bryce was moving the pocket, getting outside, making throws that were accurate. You had the QB school, capital A anticipation, where he throws it to McMillan. We'll talk about him in a minute, and he missed it. That was probably Bryce Young's best throw of the day. It was incredible. I mean, it was awesome. Like that.
Even that pass right there that Ricky brought up, the one to T-Mac, that deep throw there, that had capital A anticipation on it. I mean, if Ricky had it paused for a second, if you look where T-Mac is and when Bryce Young throws that ball, it's like just crazy for him to anticipate where he's going to be, and great leverage from T-Mac to not give up too much of the sideline on that, route he ran. So I just amazing work from Bryce in preseason game one.
Well, yeah, and that's perfect ball placement. Like, you can't. Yeah. I know Ricky's going to say that too. Like, you can't throw that any better. Like, where else do you want that ball?
I mean, look at it, Bryson. You nailed it. Like, he's like almost 3 steps right in his drop, and he's tossing that thing. Like, T-Mac is literally just getting into the stem of his route, right? He's on his release. He gets off the release, takes the leverage that he's given right there on the outside, and immediately Bryce is like, all right, one-on-one. He sees that. By the way, the motion here allows Bryce to know what the defense is doing, because right now they're showing 2 high, right? They're showing 2 safeties, middle of the field open. They send Adam Thielen in motion here. Thielen comes across, and all of a sudden you see they have to shift, right? Mm-hmm. So Bryce knows right away. He says, middle of field close, single high. This is a man look. And he says, T-Mac, outside leverage. I'm going to give him the one-on-one. And he puts it right over the back shoulder, and T-Mac brings it in. I mean, that's an absolutely – this is what you draft him for, right? I mean, this catch right here, that over the shoulder, the high point, late hands by T-Mac as well. That's a thing that, you always want to see when you're evaluating a receiver. He doesn't show this corner where that ball is being delivered, right? Until it is right there on him. All of a sudden, his hands are up, and he knows where it is. He tracked it. That defensive back doesn't have the ability to track that because of the way that T-Mac played it. It's a wonderful play by both players.
It's like Ricky knew this next banner. But I kind of want to go to that play, Ricky, if we can, the one on the end zone where Bryce literally throws it before he's even breaking on that in route. And T-Mac knew, like, he knew he's got to catch that. He's got to turn around quicker and, be ready because Bryce Young's going to throw that with anticipation. But that's the stuff, kind of the stuff he needs to clean up. But man, is he?
You see it right there. You see right there, right? Bryce is about to throw. He is in his throwing motion, and T-Mac is on his outside rocker step on his release in the stem of his route. He is still rocking on the outside. He's in. That ball is already on him. The separation's great, though, right? I mean, he gets great separation. For the red zone, you're talking about close quarters operation. He's got a good step. It was a really nice route. He just took like an extra step, or that step was a little bit wide on that outside rocker that caused just that teeny tiny tick. But my favorite part of this is right there. See what T-Mac's doing? Thumbs up. He's like, hey, hell of a throw, Bryce. Like, that ain't on you, partner. Like, you delivered me a missile That right there is a throw, and it's a throw that he's going to catch. You see him look at that ball. He's like, man, I'm going to get it now. I ain't get it the first time. I'm going to get it now.
So those are the things though, like when you see that, you see the recognition. Like I know people don't think of it much, but the thumbs up, like he's not gonna make that same mistake again. He's gonna go back, and the next time this gets drawn up, he's gonna make that play. And that's what I love about him, because I trust him to not make the same mistake twice. So why don't we talk about another guy in this wide receiver room who obviously has, they bring in T-Mac after drafting him at the tail end of the first round last year, and Xavier Legette. And he comes out. We all see it. He gets, gets drugged down with his helmet. He hits a guy a couple times, a couple jabs to the face, and T-Mac gets ejected from the game. Honestly, it was a pivotal moment. It could have turned for the offense in that moment. With just all the energy with that brought within that play. Both guys get ejected. There's a penalty thrown. So I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts on Legette in that decision. Do you back it? Do you hate it? What were your guys' thoughts when that all went down and transpired?
Yeah, it's not what you want to see in the preseason, especially for a guy that's currently battling with, I would say, Jalen Coker to be on the field as a starter. It doesn't. I wouldn't say it bothers me per se that he got into a scrap, but for him and his personal situation on the team, I think he said it too. He apologized. I think he would have preferred that not to happen, and him being able to play in the game and get those reps that I think he needs with Bryce in this offense, his first team offense. But it's not. I'm not sitting here saying like, oh man, Xavier Legette's an idiot. Get him off my team. He's fighting none of that stupid stuff that some people on Twitter are going around saying. This is a second-year player who still has obviously room to grow. Still has some raw talent that needs to be developed, and I would have loved to see him on the field, getting those reps. But it happens. It's a very competitive game. And sometimes that competitiveness might get the best of you, and it leads to you throwing punches at the other team. Now, get it out in the preseason so that doesn't happen in the regular season, I'll say. So I guess that's the good part about it. I would, if I could pull anything from it, that it really didn't matter. It didn't count. So let's not let that happen in the preseason or in the regular season. I think Xavier Legette kind of understands that, and saying that it's not going to happen again. But yeah. I'm not sitting at home flaming over it like, oh man, what an idiot, costing my team a game. It's the preseason. I really don't care.
So I'm going to, man, I've seen all the takes, right? And Bryson, you nailed it on the overreaction to it. I think that the overreaction is absolutely asinine. The whole, get him off the team. There's no place for this, blah, 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 blah. That's an overreaction, and I disagree with it vehemently. I also think there's an underreaction to it it's a total nothing. It means absolutely zero, and I have no problem with it because Steve Smith used to fight. Bring up the videos of Steve Smith fighting, because I agree, man, he was fired. He was a competitor, right? We love that. And by the way, I'm not looking for a team full of choir boys. I don't want that. I never want that from my team. I don't even like it when my coach is too damn nice. That was one of the things that bothered me about Canales at the beginning is I was like, stop smiling at me, man. We suck. Stop smiling. Tell somebody to, run a damn hill or something, do something crazy, man. But so I don't have a problem with the fire. I have no problem with the passion. I love it. I want that from my player. But here's what I will give a little bit of pushback. And here's what I say that I do have an issue with it is you can't throw punches first, especially first, but you really can't throw punches at all in the NFL anymore. They are going to eject you for that. It's preseason. It didn't cost us anything. But when somebody says, hey, this team needs that edge, they need that fire, what did it benefit? How did that benefit the team when Xavier Legette did that? By not having Xavier Legette on the field, how did that make the team better? It didn't. What did it benefit Xavier Legette by him not being on the field? It didn't. And so for me, the whole thing is I want the best case scenario for this team in every opportunity they have. And having Xavier Legette on the field is best case scenario for me, because I think that he is still a very talented player. He's also a very talented player who is in the midst of having to prove that right now. And let's just be completely honest about that, man. His rookie season was disappointing by most metrics. There were promising underlying signs of what it could be. And now you have a complimentary player in Tedero McMillan. Jalen Coker's taking another step. But that Jalen Coker taking another step, boys, we talked about it last week when we talked about that initial depth chart. Don't read too much into it, right? But who was at the heels of Xavier Legette? Jalen Coker. And what did Jalen Coker do with his opportunities to get a little bit more snaps, maybe even to get those snaps with the first team? How did we get those first points on the board? Jalen Coker. Could that have been Xavier Legette running that route? Maybe. Would it have gone that same way? Who knows? But it did go that way with Jalen Coker doing it. And I just think that gives the coaches, I think it gives the players on the team something to think about. You said it, XL apologized. I don't think this is some sort of like big issue that's going to be a recurring thing for XL. But no, 100%, man. I think that it's got to be controlled. I think the Canales spoke to it. And also for fans, whatever we say doesn't really mean anything. But when Canales comes out and he says, no place, unacceptable, we don't want it, just let that be it, man. And then let's leave it in the past and let's move on.
Yeah, I mean, you guys both brought up good points. I'm kind of lean towards in between Bryson and you, or maybe even farther than Bryson. It's preseason. I mean, I'm not going to read too much into it. I think you learn from it. You can't have it happen in the regular season. I think that's obvious. Like, you can't have that. We can't have your first round pick of last year going out within the first or second drive of the entire game. So I agree with Ricky on that. But it's preseason. Like, I'm not too worried about it. I'm not. I know Canales was pissed. I remember I saw him mouth to the ref. He's like, for punching, yeah, we can't have that. So I'm sure he was pissed. I'm sure they had a conversation, but I know, XL, 20 minutes after being ejected, tweeted, apologizing to the fans. Like, he knows he fucked up. But hey, you can't have it. I mean, you lost reps when they brought in a ton of competition into that room, and the guy that replaced you went in and put up a touchdown. So yeah, it's not great all around, but I'm not going to lie. I like the fire. We all know, I think Monty pointed it out a couple of days ago. We'll never forget when Bryce Young got his ass whooped and the offensive line just stood there and didn't do a damn thing against the Vikings. So I don't mind that fire at all. You got to channel it, because we know, Ricky said it, they're not going to allow punching at all. I mean, you're going to get ejected immediately.
Not to mention, you don't want Xavier Legette throwing his wrist that has injury history in hands that are questioned. You don't want him punching the damn helmet, man. Yeah. It ain't doing nothing. You know what I mean? That was my whole thing too, is chop the arm that is on his face. So I said, I'm not saying that Rayshawn Jenkins wasn't the antagonist in this. He sure as hell was. But then they asked XL, was something said that crossed the line, right? Because I saw a lot of people saying that too. Hey, we don't know the full context of this, man. There might have been some foul stuff being said. He goes, no. We were just jawing. And then he held my face mask, and I did my thing. And he did he threw a nice little 3-piece combo, right? I thought he threw some clean looking punches, but it just didn't help nothing. Chop that arm, push him to the ground, get on top of him, do all that. That is exactly when I said Steve Smith bring up those fights that he got in, right? Half of them happened after he scored, and he was jawing and he was mouthing off. You really want to get the better half of or the better part of somebody? Moss him, XL. You could just work Rayshawn Jenkins on the field, give him the too small celly, right? He can't stay with me. That's going to make him look a whole lot worse than him getting under your skin and getting you ejected from a football game, in my opinion.
And I think that Rayshawn Jenkins wasn't he the same player that threw the ball at Chuba in practice and kind of started a
he was. And XL said that he didn't even know that.
Yeah.
They wouldn't ask about that. He was like, I didn't even know that happened.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So again, this was just one of those isolated incidents where it's dude, I got no problem with it. Be fiery, be pissed, and stand up for yourself. Because that was horseshit with what Jenkins was doing. Holding on to his face mask. XL, first of all, was moving him out of the scene. Yeah. On the run block. I mean, he was getting
blocking the hell out of him.
Yeah, dude, He was blocking the hell out of him. So I know Jenkins was hurt from that, right? He's like, I got a family that's probably watching this, man. I may not play in many games. They're watching me in this one. So I know that was probably part of it, the pride. But man, XL, you already got him there, right? Don't let him win and get under your skin like that.
Well, let's talk about the guy. We talked about it briefly here, but the guy who shined in his absence, if I can get this up here, and that's Jalen Coker. We saw it in the preseason game. It continued this week in practice. The guy, for a lot of folks, I mean, there was some rumblings from some fans, like, where is Coker's spot on this team once they drafted Tedero McMillan? And you even saw it in both Fan Fest when we were there. You see it in the depth chart. He is the fourth, I believe the fourth on that list of wide receivers. But, I mean, he's making everyone know and make it clear that, hey, I'm still here. And I'm not going down without a fight. And he's played really well up to this point. Ricky, I'm sure this is the play that you're going to show us, but this is what I recall a Bryce Young of last year, and even his connection with Coker last year, where when Bryce gets in trouble, Coker finds somewhere to be and he makes the play. And that's what reminded me of all, like, that happened a ton last year.
Yep. And what did we talk about? Would XL have been the guy in on this play? We don't know. We don't know what that personnel package would have looked like, right? But if you see the formation here, you just saw JT Sanders. He motions from the top out wide over here. Coker's inside of him, but JT motions back in, kind of like condenses down, tethered to the line, right? He's still a little bit free, but he's right off of it. So then you got Coker's right here at the top of the screen. That very, very likely was XL if you're looking at just the first three on the depth chart, right? Because you got Thielen right here in the slot. You got T-Mac down here on the bottom, right? And he's spread out the furthest. So you run this play. And again, this is what we talked about with Bryce, man. Just a really nice thing here from Bryce as well. The sense, he's got a decent pocket right here, right? Like, it's not bad. I don't think he really has a good shot right now. You know, JT Sanders on this crosser, maybe on the shallow, but he's got a lot of traffic in front of him. Guy's not far behind him either. So is it likely that he's in? Probably not. Actually, that's Coker running across. Sanders is up here. My bad. But then the scramble drill. And this is the second play that Dave Canales preaches so often, right? Here's the best part. Look at what Bryce is telling Coker in the back down here. He said, go over, man. He's like, this guy's coming. Just slide behind him. And he does. And look at the accuracy. Delivers it. Somebody pointed this out to me on Twitter, and I've got to agree completely. The spatial awareness for Jalen Coker with these non-painted end zones to know where he was on that back line, really sharp. Because I'm telling you what, man, that was difficult to see in real time if he was in or not. I just thought it was really, really nice job. You see a decent block there by Icky too to eat that one up. There's a signal, get to the back, hands, catch, touchdown.
And great concentration from Coker too, because I believe that corner taps him when he's running back.
Yep.
That reroute. So he's arguably pass interfered with as well, but he still makes the catch inbounds and scores a touchdown. I just can't say enough. Man, Coker just makes plays, man. It is like week in, week out, whatever it is, training camp, preseason last year. If he's given the opportunity, he's making a play. And then there was the one play where he caught it one-handed that it was called back.
That drove me nuts.
Couldn't see it.
Drove me nuts.
I couldn't see the one-handed catch, at the game in the stadium. They didn't put it on the scoreboard either, which I was upset about. But I went back and watched it after the game. It was just a crazy catch, man. It's like there's nothing he can't do. I feel like 50-50 balls, like with Coker, are more like 70-30 or 80-20. Like he just wants it more than the corners he's going against, and he's taking the opportunity and running with it. I think right now at this point you cannot say, like, with a straight face that Coker is not better on the field than XL is for this offense. So they have a decision to make with that. Do you put XL in and allow him to grow while playing on the field, or Coker, who has proven, I think, to be a better option at this point? Not saying XL can't get there, but Coker is just so good, man. He just keeps making plays after plays after plays, and he's there. Like, we just did the scramble drill. Like he's got that rapport with Bryce Young. I love what I'm seeing from him, man. He is just so good. Like, plain and simple, a very good wide receiver for an undrafted rookie last season. This is just it's not common to see. but he's just he's so smart, fluid in his routes. Like, he's not a burner, but he's efficient with his routes and his movements. That he creates a separation when it's needed. His hands are spectacular, like arguably some of the best hands in the team. I think Coker just needs to be on the field. I really do.
Ricky, I want to go to you with that question, because I don't know if I'm there yet. You think he should be playing over XL at this point?
Well, it's interesting because what that comes with is some projection too, because I don't think that Coker did most of his work. The bulk of his receptions came from the slot. And I actually just did a little bit of charting today because I was curious on this, right? And I was like, how would Coker look playing more of that Z role? If T-Mac is going to play, let's say at least probably 65, 70% at the X, which I would assume he is. I don't think you necessarily got to play him 80, 85% of snaps outside at the X, because I don't think that takes advantage of all of the advantages he can create from a schematic standpoint. And Canales is pretty adamant about playing platoons and roles and switching people out and being interchangeable, right? I charted it down. He had 32 receptions last year. He had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 from outside alignment. And outside alignment, also, I'm counting in stack formation when, he's either the guy on the line or he's the guy behind on stack out wide, where there's not really a slot in that case. But, you do have that obstruction in front of you that can help with releases and change the way that a defense will play you on the stack. So if you take out those, you're looking at probably 9 receptions from outside alignment. Only one of them came from a true X alignment, maybe 2 if you look at it. And both of those came against zone coverage. So when I looked at it, I saw 7 that he caught out of the Z, and a lot of them were against man coverage. And so there is a real linear way that you can look at this and say he has the release work at the line of scrimmage, that he can do that. You can bring him in motion. We've seen them do that. He's an adequate pass or a run blocker, and he's got some of the most consistent hands, if not the most consistent hands so far on the team. Like, that's just the way it is, man. And so I'm not trying to say that just because he's good, Xavier Legette isn't. I think that's the wrong way of looking at it. And I think that that's a very closed-minded view. And it kind of eliminates the whole point of what we've always asked for here in Carolina, of having a lot of good playmakers, not just 2. You don't just want 2 really good guys and then a bunch of, Amir Smith-Marsetts behind them, right? You want actual playmakers from 1 through 6. I think that you could have Xavier Legette be that dynamic explosives kind of guy. I don't think that he has to be in every 3-man set. I don't think that that's necessary, and I don't think that it's giving you the best chance. Do I think that right now, if Jalen Coker continues his trajectory and his ascension to what he's doing, and Xavier Legette doesn't show something? I don't mean just have the upside. I mean show something. If he doesn't force his hand, I think it would be crazy to not have Jalen Coker playing more snaps, if you want my honest to God opinion. I think that Jalen Coker has earned it. I think that you play your best players. That's what Canales has said numerous times. And right now, as it stands, from the 17 games they played last year, and Coker didn't even play all 17. From those games and the 1 game in the preseason, Jalen Coker's had a better time, and he's been more productive.
No, it's a valid point. I lean more on the side of, I think this guy needs to start chipping into Adam Thielen's snaps. And I can't believe I've been saying, I would say that because I've always been a big proponent of Adam Thielen on this team. But I don't know how he's reliable. And that's the biggest word for me from Coker. He's reliable. And that's what I always thought of Adam Thielen. Like, when you always needed a guy in a pinch, it was always Thielen. And I feel like Coker is becoming that. And I do think getting Xavier Legette reps on the field is only going to make him better. But I also see the other side of it, and where both of you guys come from. You got to put your best players out there. And if Coker is shining more than Legette, I get that. But I think it's still a little too early to make that call right now, off of 1 preseason game against 2nd and 3rd string Browns players, when they're going to arguably be one of the worst teams in the league this year. Yeah. So I take that with a grain of salt, but there's no denying Coker has been the better player this offseason. Like, that's clear. Like, I don't think there's anyone arguing that right now.
Bryson, what would you say if I asked you who was a better player last year then? If we're not talking about doing this just from a one-game preseason sample, right, against the 2s and 3s, what if I just asked you who's been the better player in their career, who has earned – and so that's the thing too, Bryson, and maybe you can answer this when you answer the first thing that I just rambled off at you. But, like, it doesn't have to be XL or Coker. They could be on the field at the same time. Like Curtis just said, you could have Coker in the slot and maybe Thielen comes off some. My point was that I think that Coker just needs more snaps than Xavier Legette. I think he needs to be in on, 12 personnel with just 2 wide receivers out there. I don't see how you could justify him not being one of the top 2 there, right?
Yeah, I agree. I would say if we're talking last season, I think it's pretty clear when you talk about the amount of opportunity and the production from that opportunity that Coker was the better player last season. I think I saw a tweet today that I don't know, it was like AWS or ESPN stats or something like that, that there were only like 5 other rookie receiving targets that ranked higher. And Ricky, I don't know if you saw this. It was it yards per. I can't remember exactly what the
yards
stat
per
was.
route run, I think.
Yeah. And Coker was like 6th behind like Brian Thomas Jr., Brock Bowers, like players like that. So I think Coker is a analytics darling, and I think that's because he is a very good player when he's on the field with the amount of opportunity that he got last season, and hopefully gets more this season. I think Coker's just been better in almost every single area than XL has. Now, I'm not saying that XL can't become a good player. I think that he still has a very high ceiling, and he has room to grow. He's not a bad player, right? He's still young. He's in his 2nd year. Coker's just ahead of the curve right now, especially being an undrafted free agent. So I think if XL continues to get those reps on the field, I agree with Curtis. I think he will get better. But if we're talking week 1 this season versus Jacksonville, what wide receiver gives you the best chance? I would say it's Coker right now. Now you have to squeeze in some XL opportunities in there, and obviously I think they will. But if we're going 3 wide receiver sets, I want to see Coker, Thielen, and Tatori McMillan. That would be my 3.
Yeah, and there are other fun things they can do, right, with the personnel. Like they can do Teteroa McMillan, Jalen Coker, Jimmy Horn Jr. Yeah. It doesn't have to be slow Adam in on everything, right? But I don't think that you phase Adam out until you have other consistent contributors. And I mean phase him out completely, right?
Yeah.
Coker has proven that he's a contributor on a consistent basis, and he's reliable and trustworthy. I think that's what you want for Bryce Young. Teteroa McMillan, I think, is going to be that as well. Now, he still has to earn it, but I just don't think there's anyone else in that locker room that has his skill set. So you got to play him, man. Like, you have to play that kind of player. Xavier Legette has a specific individual, unique talent set, but he's got to do it, man. Like, it's just time. You got to do it. And I think he will. I don't think that this is a reaction to one game. I think this is more of just a great work, Jalen Coker. You should get some reward for the work that you put in and for being consistent and being reliable. Like, what are you telling your team if you're saying that the guy who is performing better than pretty much everyone else in this room, let's just be honest, he's been better than almost everyone else in that room, and you're going to say, yeah, he might get some opportunities, but we got to see what this other guy does. I don't think that that's it, man. And Coker's not running these small, easy routes, right? He's playing vertical, man. He's getting separation. The one thing that I'll say is that when I did that charting and you see how many of his catches came from the slot and who it came against, right? He's got a great innate sense of where to be in zone coverage. But he also, when he did go up against guys in man, he went up against guys like D. Alford, right? He went up against guys like Riley Moss in Denver. That was who he had the touchdown on. And when you start playing the Z or even start taking some X snaps, right, you're going to see the team's top 1 or 2 corners. And if they're in man, you're probably going to have an adjustment period. That is where you want to see. But Coker's playing against J.C. Horn in practice. He's playing against Denzel Ward in the joint against the Browns where he had 2 touchdowns. I think that he's shown enough that he has warranted some extra opportunities.
No, I think that's fair. And going back to your question, because you didn't even ask me yet, thanks. is
Yeah, sorry.
I
No
agree.
excuse
I
for
do
that.
think Coker had the better season. You can look at it. I mean, he played less games and had a statistically better year with no drops. Like I don't think anyone who would look at that said XL had a better year. So to answer your question there, yeah, I think without a doubt. But I want to talk about a guy while we're sticking to this room, and that's Jimmy Horn, because I had tweeted this out during the game, and Ricky had talked about like your fun combinations. Like I would love to see Tedero, McMillan, Legette, Coker, and Horn on the same field on this field at the same time. Like I think that would be so fun to watch, and they would give you so many different aspects to their game. But going off of that, it brought me to Jimmy Horn because I was tweeting that out when Jimmy Horn, that guy, his route running and his cuts and how quick he is. This is another guy I think deserves, and I know it's a loaded room. I want to see what he can do in preseason with the ones, with Bryce Young in there, and see what he does with these other guys on the field. Because we all saw Andy Dalton; he sucked. Like he looked like shit in that game.
Doo-doo.
So it was hard to get a good look at some of these other guys. So for me, it's like, is this guy going to get an opportunity? And I know it's a loaded room, but I just want to see that in preseason, because once the bullets start flying and we get into week 1, I don't know how much you're really going to see of him. I mean, we saw it last year. Canales rolled out, and I get it, it's a different room now, but Canales rolled out a lot, the same 3 wide receivers majority of the game. I mean, it was the same 3 guys play in and play out. So I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts on Jimmy Horn, and if you think he deserves some more reps with the ones here in these exhibition games before we get to the actual regular season.
I do. I mean, it's just such a crowded room, man. It really is. I guess we need to be running some more 5 wide receiver sets or something crazy, because there's so many wide receivers that need opportunity. We haven't even mentioned my man Hunter Renfrow yet. Who came back from injury. I think he's making the team, and he's got to get on the field too. It's a crowded room. It's a good problem to have. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be talking about it because we've been the complete opposite for a long time. But I would love to see Jimmy Horn get more opportunity, because I agree with you, Curtis. I think he's electric. Brings something to this room that is different. In regards to his speed, I think Xavier Legette is there too, but I think Horn might be a little bit more fluid in his route running at this point. So yeah, let's see what it looks like with Bryce Young and not Andy Dalton throwing egg McMuffins out there for interceptions. And Dalton looks so bad in the preseason, dude. When Plummer came in, it was a breath of fresh air. The third string quarterback.
Who would have ever said that last year?
Was playing better than Dalton. Like he was terrible. It looked like he didn't want to be there, how bad he played. So yeah, I think Horn is a very good player. I'm happy he's a Carolina Panther, because I think he's going to be here for a while in that wide receiver room. But yeah, I would love to get him opportunity. It's just such a crowded room, man. It really is. And we'll see what happens.
All right, Ricky, before you go, I want to get to some of these super chats because they've come in hot and heavy here. Thick Nasty coming in. Cheers, big fellas. Here's to embrace the Texans Eve, $4.99. We appreciate you.
My man. Cheers.
There's Naked Ricky, if everyone wants to see it. There you go.
You are obsessed with this Naked Ricky thing. Curtis, you and I are going to have a conversation when we get off of this air.
Ricky will just send you a naked picture.
Yeah,
dude.
you just
look at the beer can.
ask politely and you'll get it, man.
Buys $2. Cheers to you as well. Hey, we're gonna might be drunk here in a little bit. Cheers, appreciate you, fellas. Appreciate what you all do. Hey, we appreciate you for the super chat.
Appreciate you
and listening every single week to us talk about Panthers football. And then Keaton Bullock coming in here, $1.99. Will Nick Scott starter week 1?
Keaton.
Cheers. We will answer that question here momentarily. I promise you. It'll be the first thing we talk about when we get to the defense. Sorry, I had to keep my end up with a bargain here and pay my dues to Keaton. But yeah, Ricky, Jimmy Horn, let's talk about him. What's your take?
Man, when you talk about should Jimmy Horn be seeing more reps with the ones, right? It's an interesting philosophy what to do in the preseason because you got to get a little bit of momentum, familiarity, get the ground underneath your feet type of deal with your ones. And getting those reps is important. But then also you want to integrate some of these players that you kind of have a inkling that you want to be involved in your offense at some point in the season, right? Because you nailed it, Bryson. I don't necessarily want to have to judge Jimmy Horn just as I'm judging Andy Dalton, right? Andy Dalton looked like the guy that was like, hey, look, I used to enjoy playing this game. Now I enjoy getting my checks from this game. And no offense to him. I don't blame him. Everyone is getting a nice, good look there of Curtis while we talk. But Andy Dalton was so quick to get rid of that football anytime that he could like sense there was something going on that I think that he eliminated some plays just of how quickly he was getting rid of the ball. But Jimmy Horn Jr., what you saw in the limited action that he received or the limited targets and receptions that he received, you bring up him and XL as the speed, but Jimmy's a different kind of speed. Jimmy has instant acceleration. It does not take Jimmy any time to get up to top speed. And if Jimmy has a crease, good luck catching him. Like if he gets by you and he sees open grass, he could turn it to 6. And we saw that with his former teammate, LeJontay Wester in Baltimore with just the dynamic, explosive playmaking ability. That's what I want to see from Jimmy. And I would like to see that with Bryce Young. I would like to see how a defense gives the attention to Teterow McMillan, a Hunter Renfrow, a Jalen Coker, an Adam Thielen, and Xavier Legette. I'd like to see how a defense can game plan. You talk about the empty sets, get 5 wide receivers. Guess what? That's where Bryce Young did a lot of his best work at the end of last season, was out of empty sets with 5 on the field. Get Jimmy Horn out there, move around into different alignments, and find those favorable matchups, right? Get somebody to commit to defending him, draw that coverage assignment, and let Jimmy go to work, man. So, yeah, I would like to see him get more snaps. I'd like to see him get more early snaps. The main thing I want to see Jimmy Horn Jr. get is punt return snaps. I am ready to end the experiment on other players that are taking those snaps, and I am very much all in on Jimmy Horn. As we talked about when we did the initial draft or the depth chart, I'm good on going through the top 6 to get to number 7. Just give it to Jimmy and let him make an impact on the football game.
All right, I do want to talk about the one more thing on offense, and we'll slide over the defense because we've talked enough about it, and that's this offensive line. So obviously Damian Lewis was out, had the injury. Zavala's out with injury. So they had someone help me out, the guy who started in their place.
Jatir Carter.
Thank you. And I'm just wanted to get your guys' thoughts on how those guys performed. Personally, just quickly, I thought that left side looked weak. I know you mentioned Icky, but there was it seemed like pressure on that left side, and I think it was because Carter was in there on a couple of plays early with the ones. I think Bryce Young took a sack in one of those. But yeah, it just kind of shows you, even when you do have depth and those guys get hurt, like how quickly things can change, and don't get too damn comfortable with the status quo. But just thoughts on how the offensive line, the starters at least, held up.
Yeah, I think the Panthers made a decision today that reflects their need at that position depth-wise. They quickly named Austin Corbett the starting center and moved Cade Mays over there. I think they saw from Jatir Carter somebody that's not going to be on the roster, the 53, struggle in that game pretty mightily. Curtis, you mentioned it, giving up a sack in that preseason game. So I think they're moving Cade Mays over there with the struggles or the injuries at that position that they've had up to this point, letting him get some reps probably against the Texans coming up. So, it's not ideal to have a couple injuries at one position on the offensive line, and you're relying on a third or fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh string guard there to play starting reps with a starting offensive line, starting quarterback in the preseason, protecting that quarterback and hoping that he doesn't get injured. So they're going to put Cade Mays there. I think that's the plan, and I think that's why they made that decision very quickly. But also, I've said throughout the year, I don't think it was much of a competition either. I thought it was Corbett's job to lose, and that kind of came to fruition there.
Yeah, it was always a matter of Corbett being healthy for me, right? His health was the only thing that was standing in the way of him being the starter. As far as the left guard position, Ja'Tyre Carter, I mean, look, that's a tough spot for him to be in. He hasn't taken reps with the ones. You're asking him to do that. I thought that outside of that rep where he got beat handedly inside and gave up the pressure that resulted in a sack, because that pressure wasn't the direct sack, right? Like the guy that got past it didn't get the sack immediately. Bryce extended the play. He tried to do what he could. But I thought that after that, I thought that Ja'Tyre played sound. I thought he was okay. For Icky, what I'll say about why I was impressed with Icky's thing is just from a pass block standpoint, right? Just from a pass protection view. I thought that what I saw from Icky that always bothered me was a lot of guessing and lunging and overextending. And what I saw in this game, in the limited reps, right? I think he only had like 8 pass block reps. But what I saw from it was him taking what the defender was doing and using that to his advantage. So there wasn't a whole lot of stonewalling. There wasn't a whole lot of like pancake blocks from Icky and Pass Pro. But what he did is when that defender tried to beat him with a speed move, because that's a scouting report on Icky, right? Get to his outside shoulder and beat him with speed. That is what they think they can do to Icky all day. And they might not be wrong unless Icky has a really intelligent approach, which he did, I thought. He pushed those defenders as far out of the arc as he could. And it made the route to get to Bryce Young that much longer and more difficult and more steps to travel. There are different ways to win reps. And I thought that Icky showed that he at least has the mental understanding right now of how to win in different ways. And then you go back to the run blocking. Look, we all know how Icky does in the run blocking. I think he's one of the top 10 tackles in the league as a run blocker. I truly believe that. And I thought that he looked that way again in very limited snaps. I think it was 5 rushes that he was in the game for. But the mental approach that he showed, I'm a big fan. Robert Hunt, Corbett, they clearly were told, hey, a lot of duo blocks on Mason Graham. That's the only guy that's really playing for them that we have any kind of attention on or worry about. And you saw a lot of chipping, a lot of duo blocks, a lot of combos, and they handled Mason Graham for the most part pretty well, which, again, I'm not saying that Mason Graham is a bum because of that. You get blocked by Robert Hunt and Austin Corbett on duo blocks as a rookie, you probably shouldn't win a whole lot of those reps.
Welcome to the NFL, Mason Graham.
Welcome to the NFL, fella, right? Like, that's one of them moments, man. That's like Icky lining up against Myles Garrett, right? Like, it's bound to happen.
One thing I wanted to note, because this is a guy that I've supported since he's been here, but I thought Christensen kind of had a rough outing. He struggled.
I was going to suggest, when you talk about Cade Mays playing left guard, you guys gave me hell the other day when I said I didn't think that Brady Christensen was the guy for the tackle position of the future. I said he's better as an interior player. I would alternate Cade Mays and Brady Christensen for these next 2 games if Damian Lewis is going to be out.
Yeah, I'd like to see Brady inside too.
Because Icky's played next to Brady as well. So there may be a little bit more familiarity there than that continuity always helps.
But Brady got smoked on a play, and I think it was like in the 3rd quarter maybe. It might have been even in the 4th. But, I mean, at that point, you're going against, like, guys who are probably going to be cut on the Browns. And he got smoked on that one play, and I'm like, damn. I've got to bring this one up. If I'm going to talk him up, I got to talk when he's doing bad too. So, yeah, I didn't think he had a great outing in this one. But let's move to that defense, and I promised we'd go to our super chat off the top. So we're kind of maybe working our way back here a little bit. But let's start with Nick Scott. Will Nick Scott be the starter week 1? We're in trouble if he's the starter week 1. I'll put it that way. That's the short answer. He sucks. Bryson and Ricky, chime in on this.
You put it perfectly, Curtis. He sucks. Yeah, I don't think he will be. I think, again, I'll reiterate what I said last week.
Are you sure? Did you hear what Canales said this week? He earned that spot right now. The key word was right now, but he did say he earned that spot.
I hope in my own world, in my own mind, that this is more of a respect thing for Nick Scott. I know they're not doing it in other positions across this team, but, I would rather see these other younger guys get this opportunity and learn on the job than what we know we have in Nick Scott, what we saw last season, who is not a starting caliber player, who is not getting any better throughout his career as he ages. Let's get the younger guys in there that have room to grow. So I'm hoping and praying that he's not the starter week 1. Curtis, I wholeheartedly agree with you. We are in trouble if he is, because he is going to get picked on, and he is not going to be able to respond in a positive way in being picked on in that secondary. So I hope not. If I had to bet, I would say no, he's not the starter week 1. But I guess I've seen crazier things happen with this team. So I don't think he is.
Oh man, man, oh man, oh man. First of all, what Canales said about see if Christensen could play safety. Keaton, yeah,
that'd be crazy.
Find something, right?
Yeah. Him coming down the field later would.
It's tough for me with Nick Scott because I do think that he could be a valuable special teams player. Despite the fact that his best special teams contribution this week was for the Cleveland Browns. There were many moments in this game where I saw when Nick Scott was on the field, I was looking around for the flag, boys. And you know what I was looking for? 12 men on the field for Cleveland. Like, that was an extra player for the Cleveland Browns when Nick Scott was on the field. And it was pissing me off. And I don't want to just completely blow this guy out of the water because, again, it was a preseason game. But we also have seen him play in real games. And for Canales to talk about the communication and the way that he quarterbacks back there, you guys are, I don't want to say lucky. The Panthers aren't lucky that they're hiding behind the veil of construction at Bank of America and that we don't get a look at the training camp action because they can sell us a dream right now. But you guys don't see Scott in practice, man. I mean, he is just in full command of that defensive unit. Something must have happened on game day. Like, he must have had like some bad burritos or something for a pregame meal because he was just not himself. Well, look, the himself that I've seen in NFL football games is a self that I don't need to see starting NFL football games. I don't care what you do between Lathan Ransom, Damani Richardson, or Trevion Thomas. I don't care what you do between the 3 of those guys. I'll even throw Isaac Gifford in there. I'll throw the kid out of Minnesota in there. I'll throw Curtis and Bryson in there. I don't. And Brady Christensen for Keaton's idea. I'll throw Brady Christensen.
I just need the shoulder pads. I'm number 12, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, that could be any position nowadays in football. You could be a running back, an edge player, who knows. But no, I've had enough of it, man. If you want him in there for communication, you want him to teach the younger guys how to play, let him be Andy Dalton to Bryce Young. Let him hold a clipboard and talk to him on the sideline because that's all you want Andy Dalton to do, right? Oh, I just love the experience. I love the knowledge. I love how he can talk about the game. Cool. Let him do that because what you haven't told me you love what he does is how he plays the game. I haven't once heard anyone say that they love the way he plays the game. They just love what he talks about the game. So let him do that, man. Let him do color commentary. Like, let him just sit over there and call the fucking game for all I care. That could be the new app that we all listen to is Nick Scott chirping for the fucking game. But I don't want to see him out there in coverage. I don't want to see him out there on special teams. And that's just that's the lay of the law right there. I want to see Lathan Ransom. I want to see Damani Richardson. One of those two has more upside, has more potential, and I think just look like better players right now. And I think that the coaching needs to go ahead and nut up or shut up and teach those boys how to play to the level that you expect them to play, because I am sick and tired of seeing our reserves look out of place and look overwhelmed when every other team's reserves come from 6th, 7th round and undrafted free agents and couches along America. All of them come from the same place, and they look like they know what to do. But our guys at the end of games look like they're completely overwhelmed, and they don't know it. That's on coaching. My name's Ricky Raines. That's my rant.
Amen. I'll tell you what, Nick Scott is my new 80. I want this guy off my team by the start of the season. Like, I don't want him on special teams. He proved that this past week. That was a disaster. And he's proved it all last year with his play at safety. So I don't want to see this. I don't want to see 21 on the field anymore. One guy I want to see more of, and Doug, we appreciate you for tapping in. And this has been Ricky's guy, but perfect segue, a guy who I think we all want to see more of, and that's Nick Scorton. He showed up. He showed out.
Liked him, huh?
Oh, yeah. We loved him, Ricky.
Just a little bit.
You gave us the primer on this guy. So we were expecting a lot, and he delivered. I think he was one of the highest graded, if not the highest, on Friday. Was he not? I think he was like a 91 PFF, a sack, 2 tackles for a loss. I mean, he was our highest rated defensive player. Yep. Yeah. So he showed out. The one play that I know everyone can remember is the one where I thought he was going to get, honestly, I thought he was going to get Sanders early on. Sanders, a little shake and bake, gets out of it. And then Scorton runs 40 yards across the field to still get a sack on the play as Sanders runs out of bounds. Like, man, we really missed that at that spot. And like, it's so refreshing to see a guy with that kind of effort, no give up, and to go out and still make that play. It was incredible. And Ricky's going to show it to us here.
This isn't the play. I was just going to play all the reps of Scorton on the field and let everyone watch for themselves here.
That is someone I want to talk about, though. That number 31. I'm sure we're going to get into it.
Yeah, we're getting into him. You're chomping at the bit. Settle down.
Yeah. What I'll say about Nick as well, shout out Mike K of the Charlotte Observer, because he put it in his notebook when Scorton came back from his hamstring issue that he had going on. And he said, hey, look, he was moving well in space, defending the flat, right? We saw that from Scorton on a play, and it may be coming up here on this next play if I'm remembering right. No, maybe not. Let me look at this. I'll bring that up while we talk about it because I would like to. Here it is. Short pass, Shedeur to Jamari Thrash, second-year guy out of Louisville.
He made the tackle. Hell yeah, I remember this play.
This is a hell of a play here. Scorton's right over here. You see him lined up here. Watch him with the back pedal into coverage, reads the quarterback's eyes, goes, and just closes. I mean, that is a hell of a play for a guy as big, strong, and powerful as Nick Scorton is. You watch him here. He's on this corner of your screen, number 11. Watch the back pedal first and eyes on the quarterback the entire time, right? Back pedal, eyes, sees it, reads it, gets through that block. I mean, just runs right through any contact that is coming his way.
Dude, I thought that was a linebacker when that first happened. I'm like, who the hell made that play? And then
he is a linebacker,
like,
technically
holy
speaking.
Shit. Well, an edge rusher, but I was like, holy shit, that's Nick Scorton. I love
and then he
that.
follows it up on that next rep right here. This is the next rep. This is one of my favorites that didn't get home, but this shows you, right? Here he is standing up, snap the ball, right? First of all, you see his get off. You see he's already moving. Look at the rest of the defenders, right? Look at the rest of it. The ball's right here. Snap is there. Look at Nick. He's the only one moving. So that is something that always stands out to me is the get off. He's there. He's already ahead of everybody. He gets right into the chest of this tackle right here and just pushes him back. I mean, look at where he is when Shedeur makes that throw. He is right there on him, hand up. That is a play that is going to start getting home, boys. And it's something that you're going to have to account for. Offensive tackles are going to start setting accordingly so that they can handle his bull rush and try to get a nice, wide, firm base. And then you're going to see what he also showed us in this game, which is a very sharp, quick inside movement. This dude
Did
beat
you make
interior.
that full screen, Ricky?
Yeah. Hold on. When I'm scrambling through the plays, you can't see as much. But
okay.
I'll let it run. Hold on. Let me just let this thing run. We'll let this go and just bring up all the plays again. But it's his ability to win in a varied array of ways, man. And it's something that I loved about him. But you guys brought up the play that he had, right, where he ran, what was it, like 772 yards or something like that to make a sack for 0 yards. I mean, it's incredible stuff, but it's the tenacity was always a calling card of his game. And it's something that I spoke about was the relentless motor, how he always played nasty. We heard it from him on the blueprint, right? When he said something, he said, y'all play the game too nice, man. It's a violent game, man. I want to get out there and do something. That's a guy that doesn't give up. That's a guy that wants to do it. You see him here. He's square up. He's head on. And he just blows that up. I mean, look at the way that he knifes through that. That is something that will change the trajectory of a play. That running back doesn't have a counter there. He can't cut that back. Like it was gone. His cutback lane was gone because of Nick Scorton just knifing through that line. Very excited about him. Bryson, I would love for you to talk nicely about Nick Scorton so that I can hear somebody else say just as nice of things as I have said.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to admit it, but Ricky was right. Yet again on a player, in the pre-draft process, I always think back to, looking at your rankings and me asking you about him because it stood out to me how high you had him ranked. And then a couple of days later or a couple of weeks later, the Panthers draft him. And I'm like, damn, That's crazy that, that was the player we highlighted, but it was. And, in his first game action in preseason, he stands out, man. I thought he was the best player on the defense.
This is a good rep of him too, Bryson, while you finish. This is a good rep of him setting the edge for anyone that, wants to see what that looks like. He's on tight end here and he just holds the position.
Yeah. I mean, there wasn't much he didn't do well in this game. You both mentioned the play where he, chased down Shedeur Sanders after originally breaking it out of the pocket and looking like he was going to get some significant yardage with his legs. And then, Scorton comes across and pushes him out of bounds. And then, while I'm at the game, I see Dave Canales hitting him on the top of the helmet, hyping him up. That's what we want. It's just relentless, not giving up on a play. That's what you want. Scorton, I'm struggling not to say that he's already the best edge rusher on this team.
Mm-hmm.
Went through one preseason game of action that I've seen from him, but he just showed so much of what we've been wanting from that position. And this is a guy that, kind of similar to Coker's situation, needs to be on the field. Point blank, needs to be on the field. We need to see him versus the opposing team's starting offensive line. I think he brings so much, man. He plays such a complete game in regards to being able to rush the passer and setting the edge, defending the run. There's just not much he can't do, and I'm excited to see what he does, in the regular season in games that count. We're going into week 2 of the preseason. I'm sure he's going to show some more. But yeah, I'm excited about Scorton.
Here's one of those plays I was talking about where you see, watch this tackle, man. Watch how far out he gets on this set. Look how deliberate he is about getting outside. Look at him. I mean, he is extending himself, and Nick shows him outside. But watch the quickness in which Nick is able to just completely. I mean, he slaps his arm and just goes past. Watch.
Boom. Get out of my way.
Look at that tackle. He's literally looking at him in the face. He's like, "Why'd you do this to me?" He's like, "Why? Why are you acting like this?" And Nick is like, "I got to go." And again, he doesn't get home. But these are the kinds of plays that if this isn't the route that's on that concept, right? If this isn't 3 hitches on that side that are requiring a 2.5 second release, that's getting home, dude. And it's getting home to the quarterback's blind side.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Shedeur doesn't see anything coming right there.
Might be a fumble.
You give him 1 extra second. Look at this. 1 right there is where he's throwing, and he's got a beeline to him. Give him 1 second. That is lunch, boys. I mean, that is something that will change the game, and we haven't had about that in a long time from the edge position.
Amen, man. That's some good shit right there. It really is. That's some good
it's
stuff,
exciting,
dude.
Right? I mean, it is exciting, man. You just see what he does. I mean, that's top tier football, fellas. From a kid who's 20. He's 20 years old. I love it.
The chat is chomping at the bit to talk about this guy, and it was a conversation we had last week, and it started of, we got to see what this guy does in a preseason game. I think that was what we all had said. And we got a good look at number 31 on this team, Corey Thornton. And I'll tell you what, this is my belief with him. You guys can chime in. This is the banner I put together, but I thought he held his own. I really did. I thought he played well. I like his length. I like his size for that position. And I thought he played well against Deontay Johnson. And we can talk all the shit we want about Deontay Johnson, but when he's actually on the field and playing, he still can get open. He's still a player. There's no doubt about that. So I thought he did pretty well against him. And, this is a guy, I think all accounts, take that depth chart they put out. I don't know. I'm very confused by it sometimes because they have Thornton as fourth string and the back end, cornerback 8 or whatever it is. It's this guy has been the starter opposite Mike Jackson when JC Horn is out. And I'm excited to see what he do. And I know it's early and I don't want to pump too much into this guy, but I think he's got some talent to him. I really do like him as a player so far. And I know it's early and I don't want to get too excited, but for an undrafted dude, he has played fairly well up to this point. And I just wanted to get both your guys' takes on him because I'm kind of excited about him. I don't know if that's a good thing or not.
Curtis, I agree, man. I think last week you mentioned him being probably the third dude behind Mike Jackson, and I think Ricky and I both agreed that it was Bartholomew, but you weren't wrong. You were just early on that take because I think Thornton's earning it, man. I really do. I mentioned in our group chat that he gave up that touchdown that Shedeur Sanders threw at the corner of the end zone. I forgot the receiver it was to, but Thornton was there. It was just a perfectly placed ball. It went right over Damani Richardson. Thornton, right past Thornton's hand. Like, there's not much you can do. Like, he was in good coverage on that touchdown after watching it back. And, I thought he had a really good game. Defending the run, he is not afraid to put his head in there and make a tackle. The play that sticks out to me is the one where the dude tried to hurl him and he picked him up and slammed him. I think Thornton's making plays, albeit it is against second and third stringers in the preseason right now. But even today, you had Alex Zetlow tweet about Thornton, covering players and making plays, defending passes in practice today. I think he just continues to do that day in and day out. So Thornton's exciting. It could be a potentially another undrafted free agent gem that Dan Morgan has identified and brought in, similar to Damani Richardson or Jalen Coker that we talked about earlier in this episode. So I thought he had a good game, really good coverage versus Deontay, I think, on this play here. I thought he was just there when he needed to be there, making play. He should have had an interception in this game, in one of those coverages right across the middle. Shedeur Sanders threw one. Thornton made a play on the ball and should have had it, but I think the wide receiver kind of played defense on it and deflected it out of his hands. But look at Deontay whining about pass interference that wasn't there. I think Thornton had a really good game. I really do, and I hope he continues to build on it because we need depth at that position. We all know that, and if Thornton is that choice there, is that option, then I'm feeling decent about it right now, to say the least.
Ricky's going to bring us back down to earth. Here we go.
I'm not. No, I'm not, man. I'm not. I honest to God, with Corey Thornton, I only saw maybe 2 reps that I could point at and say that wasn't a good rep for him. And I don't even just mean in coverage. There was a run support rep where he overplayed very badly and just ran into the line basically and ping ponged off of it and allowed a pretty significant chunk to be gained. But that's not what you're asking him right now, to be honest. And this is the play, Bryson, that you were talking about. I'm going to blow this one up and we'll walk through it. But what I'm impressed with him, right? How often they asked him to be in press man coverage up on the line, right? This is Deontay Johnson in press. And you'll see Deontay, he does his typical release, right? A little bit slow, and then jab step, tries to gain outside leverage. You see Corey Thornton wasn't fooled. I mean, watch his base. He's not fooled. Great footwork there by Thornton. Short back pedal steps, and he's immediately there. When you're going to play press and you're going to do that tight quarters man-to-man coverage, right? You have got to be entirely comfortable with your back to the quarterback. That has to be something that is second nature to you. To not know where the ball is coming, you read the receiver. That is how you make a play. Well, guess what Corey Thornton does well? Right here, there's Deontay Johnson looking back for the first time, right? Ball's already out of Shedeur's hands. It's already here past the 50. But Corey Thornton notices Deontay looks back for the first time. What does Corey Thornton do? Same thing. He tracks that ball. He sees where the ball is. He's very comfortable with the fact that he has that boundary to his side, right? That's called being the boundary corner. You don't have as much grass in between. That's the field corner on the other side. This is boundary where you play that. That's your extra defender. He knows it's there. He's not pushing on him. Deontay's looking for a flag. Deontay should be mad at himself. He tried to use that outside leverage and he sailed. He went too far outside. That was incidental content. And Corey Thornton knew it too. He's like, nah, get the hell out of here. He locked him up. He locked him up on that play. It's a damn good play. And to have a guy that you could feel comfortable to do that in press man coverage as an undrafted free agent, it's an advantage, fellas. I mean, that is something that I don't think that we had last year. I don't know that there's a chance that Mike Jack could even rotate at times. If Corey continues to develop and progress in this defense, there's a good chance you could see him get some man reps when Mike Jack isn't necessarily the man for that job, right? Maybe that's a way that they get JC moving around a little bit more, is that they don't have to play zone on that one side and they're able to do a match type of defense. I don't know. It's interesting. I thought Corey Thornton was as advertised. I have no negative. I'm not going to try to bring y'all down to earth at all. Let's all sail high on this one for right now, because that was an impressive showing from him. You look at PFF, right? We started this show talking about that. He was the 4th highest ranked defender on this defense, and he played 33 snaps, which I believe was the most of any defender. 34 for Thomas Incoom and 35 for Bam Martin Scott. But so the 3rd largest sample size and the 4th best overall grade.
Yeah, and I'll say this, and this might be going off out on a limb here, but you guys know how I feel about Mike Jack. I get more excited about Thornton than him, and I'll just throw that out in the airwaves now, and we'll see how this thing transpires. But there's just some things, and I think it's honestly the press man, some of those plays I saw against Deontay Johnson, how physical he is. And it's not even just that play right there that Ricky just showed, the nice tackle, but he's making plays in coverage too. Like, I don't know how many times we're like, yeah, that guy's a great tackler as a corner, but I need a guy who's going to cover when you're going up against some, stout wide receivers in the NFC South and across the league. And I thought he held his own. So, we got to kind of flip over here, because I think we're buttering this defense up too much personally, because I thought the defense lacked a lot of things in this game as well. And we got to talk about the depth, and we got to talk about this linebacker room, because I thought the linebacker room looked terrible, and I thought this depth lacked across the board. And if we have an injury, I think I tweeted this out, if there is an injury on this defense, it could get pretty ugly quick for this team. And I don't know how you guys feel about that. Maybe that's being a little bit dramatic, but this defense reminds me of how bad the offensive depth lacked these last couple seasons. And I feel like it's kind of flipped to that defensive side. And I think Ricky had talked about even early on in this episode of how you see other teams late in these preseason games, they still look competent. And after that first team gets out for Carolina, it's like you got the Pee Wee squad in there. It's bad. It is really bad. And they made Shedeur Sanders look great. And what was the talk after the game? Shedeur Sanders, should he be the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns? That's the conversation everyone's having right now. So, again, it's one of those things where Carolina is made out to be, and I hated that it came out to be this way on an NFL Network game everyone's watching. This depth was terrible. They were sloppy. Roseboom, I didn't think had a great game. He had some really bad tape that I saw some folks break down where he was missing guys in coverage. And then Ricky shows this play, of course, where he's making a tackle. But there was another one that you had up. I think it was when Thornton or Scorton, we had a highlight, and he totally got sucked in on a block on a screen pass. And I'm like, gee, and the running back took it for 15, 20 yards. So anyway, I didn't think Roseboom had a great game. I think that depth across the board on this defense, I know I'm just ranting at this point, I think it's bad. Like, I have real concerns about this defense this year. And I'm not, even with the starters in, I have some concerns. So I just wanted to get your guys' what's your kind of temperature check on this defense? And do you think even with the starters in, they can hold up enough where you can win some football games?
I think just a side note, it's really funny that a lot of these clips, you see 21 coming in at the end and hit the dudes on the helmets. Like, good job. Like, he's not in there making any plays. He's just, like, telling them good job for making plays. Like, almost every single highlight on the defense, you see that happening. That's hilarious to me. But yeah, I agree, Curtis. I would say as far as the defensive line, I think that there's an injury there. There is some solid depth, I think, in regards to maybe a defensive end or tackle, and maybe edge when you talk about, the person directly behind the starter. But if we're talking linebacker, safety, corner, that depth is not there, in my opinion. And I think and it's not if they get an injury, it's when, because those happen every single year. Players get injured. Where's it going to be, and who steps up to take that spot? It's scary from what we saw. I thought Trevor Wallace had a game that he probably doesn't want to remember. I thought he struggled at times. He made a couple plays. I think Roseboom made a couple plays, but overall, I thought they struggled as well. We talked about that secondary with Nick Scott, but yeah, I think I thought Princely struggled in this game in regards to stopping the run, even getting to the pass rusher. I thought he probably would have hoped for a better game in his first game as a rookie in the preseason. I thought he's got some room to grow there. But yeah, I'm not excited about the depth in this defense at all. You mentioned it in regards to Shedeur Sanders cooking them up, and I was there. Browns fans were very excited about what they saw from Shedeur, and rightfully so. But again, these are a lot of these guys on this defense that were out there probably aren't going to make this team. And when that first team defense was in there, Shedeur wasn't doing too much. So, I think temper expectations with him. But in regards to that depth, it's scary for sure.
Yeah, I think that, you guys aren't wrong, right? The depth is awful. It is awful. There is no way to really sugarcoat that. I already went on my soapbox earlier in this episode and talked about the coaching needing to have these reserves playing at a higher level, man, and understanding. You go back and look at the last touchdown for the Browns, guys. That's one of the most frustrating plays you're going to watch. Nobody has any idea what their assignment is. It's man. And the guy goes in motion, and they got absolutely no idea what to do. Nobody moves. Nobody does anything. They're all standing there, and he walks into the end zone. Honestly, it was wildly frustrating. There was one player, a corner on the other side, that was playing man, and he knew his assignment. He did it. Everybody else was just sort of like, shit, they snapped that ball, didn't they? It was almost like they were waiting for someone to tell them hey, you got to go, get a little pat on the butt and get on it. Let's talk about this play for a second though. Can we talk about one good thing? Because I know that we're just piling on this defensive group right now, but I do want to talk about this one. So this is the package that they ran with their starters, right? Where they had A'Shawn Robinson and Turk were the only defensive linemen. Don't forget that we're going to run different platoons throughout the season. Derek Brown didn't play in this game. Bobby Brown is going to see action with the ones, I think. I think he earned it. I thought he had a fantastic football game. I thought he was every single thing that I have tried to also sell, right, on this show multiple times. I thought that he showed all of it, right? The quick moves, the run stuffing, the power, all of it I thought that he had on display. But this game, just to show this, right? This is why you invest in your defensive line. Here's Trevor Wallace. Here's Christian Roseboom, DJ Wanham, Pat Jones, and then you got Turk over here, A'Shawn. You're going to bring Shaw Smith-Wade over here. He's going to come on pressure. And he's going to have Jamari Thrash trying to stop him from getting back there. At the snap, here it is, pressure. Look at A'Shawn Robinson first, taking on two offensive linemen, right? He's taking both of them on, so Pat Jones is one-on-one. That leaves Trevin right here to fly through this gap. He could shoot that gap easy. DJ Wanham, Turk is over here handling his own. Look at him anchoring, right? Keeping his feet down. DJ Wanham comes in. Shaw Smith-Wade comes in off this side. Roseboom's assignment here, fit this gap. Fit this gap so that he has to back it out where there's a clean area because he's going to meet Trevin right there in the middle if he does. Run it back a little bit. This is closed off on the edge. Here's Trevin getting a free look into that gap. Here's Christian coming to fit this gap. Perfect. Pause right there. He is sitting there and he's closing it off. Running back is looking there, but he knows that linebacker is here. He has to wait for this tackle to come in here and try to reach. By the time that he gets there, Trevin and Shaw meet him in the backfield. Yeah. That's the kind of rep that you are looking for the investment that you made on the defensive line. And I think that we can expect a little bit more of that when we do have our starters in, right? So I do want to highlight that because not everything was completely bad, right?
Now let's go to the play where Roseboom gets tackled on a pursuit of a guy. Let's go to that one because we got to show some bad too. Because I feel like I don't want to butter this defense up because I thought they were bad. No, I did think they were bad.
He completes a pass on that, right? I'm trying to find where that is.
I believe so, and I don't remember where it was.
It might be this. It might have been the Jamari Thrash, I think, because I know the rep you're talking about too. I know it. This might be it. Nope.
Yeah, I can't.
Scorton. I know the rep you're talking about because it almost looks like he's playing like a.
Wasn't it like a back out of the backfield, and then he comes. I thought it was that, but
it is. It is. Because he looks like he's playing a rush almost by the way that he breaks on it. It's like a missed tackle on a pass, which is crazy. Is this it? No, this isn't it, is it? No.
But anyway, I think folks need to do not be alarmed if this defense struggles. I think people need to realize that, and that needs to be at the forefront, that this defense has a lot of work to do.
For sure.
That needs to be clear. And
for sure.
And I agree with you. Like, I thought Bobby had a really good game too. And like he played deep into that game. I mean, he was in there like third quarter, I think.
This might be
which I didn't expect, if I'm being honest with you. I don't know if that was just a ramp up because he has been dealing with some stuff too. But man, this defense, it could get ugly.
That's it right there. I think that you were talking about where he overplays right here. He's got to look at the angle is just a little off, right? Like you see how far he is. That running back, all he's got to do is pull on the reins, which he does. Stops 2 offensive linemen in front of him. Christian tries to get there, but the lineman gets his hands on him and he stops him. I mean, dead in his tracks. There's nothing, you know what I mean? At that point, man, you're out of place. Like, you're not going to get it. Christian's looking for a hold there.
That ain't the play. That wasn't the play, but that is one of them.
You're looking for the one though where he gets like
he literally gets like
ground.
Yeah, I don't even know how to explain it. It was so bad.
And to be fair to the defense as well, Curtis, they were missing their 2 best players, right? And Derek Brown and JC
and that's
Horn.
fair. But then you're also going against like 2s and 3s of the Browns. Like we gotta, if you're playing most of your starters, but 2 guys, I should not see Sanders score a fucking touchdown. If you want me to be honest with you, like that should not happen. I mean, this.
I don't think Sanders did score a touchdown versus the ones, did he?
There were some guys in there that were.
This is the one you're talking about on this play, right?
Like Mike Jack was in there and stuff when they were still making plays. So, like, I don't know. I just think we need to.
That's the one you're looking at, right?
Is this it?
Yeah.
Not great.
Yeah. Hold on.
I'm ranting.
Let it go to the end zone view because the end zone view will show. This is the one. So he's Dylan Sampson right here, the running back, rookie out of Tennessee. You got Roseboom. Roseboom gets full
watch
here.
56.
Yeah,
just watch 56.
I swear, I think he thought there was a handoff there because look at how he closes in right there. And then all of a sudden he reaches for him. He tries to get him.
And this guy he throws it to, he's wide open.
He's wide open. Dylan Sampson's wide open. Luckily, Shador just airmailed.
Yeah, he airmailed. But like you're playing
hey, look at Nick Scott.
Competent. Or I'm not, I shouldn't say that.
He picks the ball up off the ground.
I shouldn't say that about Sanders, but if you're playing a QB, 9 times out of 10 they're going to make that play, and we're talking about probably a 30-yard gain on that.
Yeah, sure.
And we're sitting here like shit. Yep. So like that's the type of stuff that's going to come up in a game, and they're going to get their ass whooped on that play, and we're all going to be bitching about it. So like we need to all realize that I think this defense it's going to take a while. I think they're not going to be that great, man.
It is. I also just think though that we've got to look like see right here, right? You got Roseboom is lined up right in the middle, right there. I thought he did a really nice job on his coverage assignment here on this back out of the backfield. Look at where he gets with him. He stays perpendicular or parallel with him the entire time. I mean, there are things that will not show up as far as like on a stat sheet or something like that. I thought that Roseboom, what he showed is that he has an understanding of the position again, that the whole green dot, can he communicate? Does he understand how to play the position? I thought that he showed that. But to your point, Curtis, I think that what we also saw was the athletic limitations of Christian Roseboom. That's never going to be your big-time difference maker. You need Trevin Wallace to be that. But what we also saw from Trevin was a lot of the problems that we saw from him last year, I think, where it just didn't look instinctual and it didn't look like confident and smart.
Yeah. So, well, hey, I mean, we'll see if they can make, I mean, this week is going to be huge. I don't know how much CJ Stroud's going to play, but going up against a team that's the last 2 years has made the playoffs and has won some playoff games, it'll be a good test for them and kind of it's a good measuring stick of where this team really is.
We've had multiple people ask about Brian Asamoah, recently released from the Minnesota Vikings. He's 2022 third-round pick. What do y'all say about the prospects of adding that player just to kind of see what he has going? Now, he's missed some time with injuries. Didn't find the field, was beat out for his job by an undrafted free agent or a 7th-round pick out of Cincinnati, Ivan Pace. So what do y'all think about this? Because there's a lot of fans that really do want to bring Brian Asamoah to Charlotte.
I mean, I
couldn't tell you one thing about the dude, so I'm gonna leave it up to you guys.
I'm not gonna try to guess that. Like, I don't think most of us know what this guy did. I mean, we can kind of fake it if you really want, but I don't know.
No, I was just curious.
I will say this. I think you need to add to this room any way you can and at least attempt to try to make this room better, because I don't think the backups are worthy of starting. I think those are all special teams guys. So you need to try to add to this room. And if that's, shopping a wide receiver, as much as maybe some of us don't even want to hear about that, that might be the case. Or, getting rid of some other position group depth to try to make up for it. Because I personally think, and I said this last week, I worry that they're going to try to do too much with Merrick, and it's going to take away his power on the defense. And that scares me for how much they paid that guy. And I think he is a good player if he's put into the right positions. And I'm worried he's going to be put out of position because they lack the depth at that linebacker room. So,
yeah, Brian Asamoah, man, like there's a constituent of fans that remember his rookie season, that he received good PFF grades for his rookie season. That was in,
you got to take all that with a grain of salt.
You do, man, or at least with enough context to know what you think about it, right? Like, we've talked about this so many times. I don't have a problem with PFF. I have a problem with PFF being used as like just gospel. Like, if they have a high PFF grade,
that can't be your only source of why
your only thing. Like, it's got to be part of your equation, right? Like, it's got to be the hammer in your tool bag if you really want to bring it out and wave it around. But you also got to have something else in there. Dalton Hampton brings it up here. He played at Oklahoma, was a pretty productive, decent player at Oklahoma. But here's my thing that I'll say about Brian Asamoah II. He's under 230 pounds. He's a small linebacker. He's under 6'1". And one thing that I know from going through that Carolina draft guide process with Edgar, this team has its physical preferences and its styles. And that isn't it for linebacker. Like, that is the opposite of what this team wants from their linebacker, especially their interior linebackers, right? I would be very surprised if they brought him in, but I would not be upset with them bringing in anyone at this point for at least a cup of coffee in camp to say, let's see what you got in the tank. Because, I mean, honestly, dude, like, what are we – you don't want to have someone come in and make Chris Barnes feel uncomfortable. You don't want to make – Jacoby Windman, I thought, played well. I like Jacoby Windman. I actually thought that he had some really nice tape. I feel pretty good about him. I think that he should be a lock at linebacker 3 if you want to know my honest to God opinion. But everything else after that in special teams contributions, Asamoah could probably play special teams at a decent clip. But why not bring everything that you can? It's like what we did at cornerback last year, the way we churned the bottom of that roster. Bring in new faces and let them play and see what sticks, man. Because right now, I don't think that you have to guarantee any of these guys a roster spot. What have they shown you? Bam Martin-Scott, dude, has the physical build, but he struggled, fellas. I thought that he had a rough night. And maybe showed why he was undrafted is because there's work to be done there. The physical is there. But there's some work, man, for him to be an NFL linebacker. So, yeah, I think that it's okay to turn over a whole bunch of stones. I just wouldn't expect to find a bunch of fucking diamonds underneath them.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, though, I think they might take the Mike Jack approach of last year of try to find someone late, a late round trade and make something happen. And, maybe they find a diamond in the rough there. But, yeah, I mean, it's just something to keep an eye on as we move closer. We got to talk about special teams here because –
do we have to?
Yes, we do. let's talk about this kicking battle, and let's also talk about. I know, Ricky, you touched on it before. You'd like to see Jimmy Horn as a returner. I think that was one of the things I tweeted out during the game because I'm tired of. I mean, I get it that Blackshear might be the sure-handed guy, or maybe even like a David Moore, but I just want to see a spark back there. I know ETN had the fumble. I still blame Nick Scott for that shit. I don't care. I don't care about anything. I want to see some of these young guys get some opportunities with that. But then also on the flip side, I thought Carolina, and it was been highlighted by, I saw a couple of guys even outside the Panthers, reporter-wise, talking about how well Carolina, played the kickoffs and the bounce. I forgot, like that bounce kick where like you'd land it within that zone, and then it would allow, the guys on special teams to at least get down there almost like it was like a regular kickoff. So I think Carolina deserves a little bit of credit in that, and Tracy Smith. And I think it was the analytics guy, wasn't it, from PFF that helped them with that? I thought Mike Kay put that out, that the guy from
Eager.
Yeah.
Eager. Yep.
So I thought that deserved to be talked about a little bit because I know this whole special teams is going to be revamped this year. It's a whole new set of guys in there trying to play that. And then obviously we have the kicker battle as well, I think we should talk about. So whoever wants to fire away to start on special teams, I think we should talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with both of you guys. I was kind of leaning towards having that veteran back there at punt return, whether it be a David Moore or a Renfro, even Raheem Blackshear. But I thought Horn showed some juice on punt return and on kick return. Thought there were a couple of kick returns he could have busted out a little bit wider and got more yards. When I was there watching the game, it looked like there were lanes open on the edge that he didn't take, but did a little dancing around back there and got some extra yardage. So I think that's exciting. I think he does bring, a little bit more of that exciting aspect to that position, and I think Carolina needs it. As far as I thought, Sam Martin had a really good game punting the ball. I think he averaged close to maybe above 50 yards on punts. I thought he was consistent, got multiple downs inside the 20. Good punting effort from him in the preseason. And then kicker, there wasn't really anything I thought that was like disheartening to see from the kicker in this game. But in regards to what we've heard and saw at FanFest, I feel like Matthew Wright is running away with this competition. They put out that new depth chart that Curtis mentioned earlier, and I think he's listed as a starter now. Did that change at all? Was Fitzgerald listed as a starter on the first one, Curtis?
No, the depth chart did not change from the first
one.
Okay. I didn't even feel like we needed to bring it up because there's nothing to really talk about. But it was always
right.
Matthew Wright.
Okay. Yeah, and I think that's probably the way it's legitimately looking right now in regards to what we're hearing out of training camp and the skinny posts. And like I said, what we saw at FanFest, Fitzgerald's been struggling as of late. So, I think the special teams unit, Curtis, you mentioned it's going to be a new unit, and they're going to be relying heavily on that coaching, and hopefully that comes through and they're able to fill their lanes and punt. We finally have some aspect of a punt return that is a difference maker. I am excited, very excited what I saw from the punter. I think that the punter is a very underappreciated position, especially when you're talking about a team in the years past that struggled with on the offensive side of the ball and flipping the field and pinning people inside the 20, inside the 15. I think Sam Martin showed us some good stuff on the field this past week.
Yeah, I'm happy about Sam Martin. That was a addition this offseason that I'd take it or leave it kind of deal. It didn't move me much, but I thought that getting rid of the punter that we had in Hecker, I thought was an astute decision because I think that they saw that was a guy that was on a cliff and was starting to fall down it, right? So I think that I appreciate the proactive movement there a lot. Martin, I just didn't know a whole lot about him, to be completely honest, man. Like I'm not super deep in the punter world. One thing that I have always wanted for this team is to find some youth on these specialist positions that you can have on your team for a long time so that you're not always having to have the turnover at them. Because that's what you see with a lot of these really good teams is when they find these gems at these specialist positions, they keep them for 10 years. Martin, you're not going to be able to keep for 10 years, right? Like you're going to have to figure that out. But I am glad that he's working out. You bring up the kickoff, Bryson. It was Sean Syed, who is the football integration lead for Sumer Sports, which, by the way, Sumer Sports is where Eric Eager was involved after PFF and before he was hired by the Carolina Panthers. And we also just hired another one of their guys to work in the analytics department with Eric Eager. So
get on Sumer Sports, Ricky. You're
Sumer Sports.
slacking.
That's the place to be right now, apparently. Sumer Sports, if you are listening at all, hey, how are you? Let me know. I'll send over my resume.
No, it's gonna take some bidding wars here, folks. All right.
These guys are gonna make you pay top dollar, but don't worry, they got the cheddar. But no, Sumer Sports, that's been a whale that we've gone back to a couple times now, and it's done us well. So why not go for it again? But Sean Syed, football integration lead for Sumer, was the one that he tweeted out, and I'll repost it right now on my page. He did a terrific article on the XFL kickoffs in preparation for the new kickoffs last summer, where he kind of went over all of the strategic possibilities and advantages and formations and ways that you can kind of manipulate that new format. And he said today, I would like to personally thank the Carolina Panthers for using this bouncing kickoff in the preseason. Here is why I think it can work and why more teams should try it out. So for once, it is very nice for the Carolina Panthers to be in this pioneer position, right, of doing something smart and innovative for the first time instead of always playing catch up. So I do really appreciate the fact that we are ahead of the game, and that is testament and kudos to Brant Tillis bringing in his other big-brained buddies into the front office on Mint Street, because there was a long time there, man, where they almost looked like analytics, like it was some sort of like fire and brimstone here in the Bible Belt. They're like, yeah, we don't look at those numbers. We're all about family down here. And it's like, okay, yeah, you played for me for 7 years, and so we're just going to keep you on out of good faith. And it's like, no. I want the guys that are going to actually make this work. So good stuff for that part. But as far as the rest of special teams, I'm good on that, man. I honestly don't have much I want to talk about with that, because that sucked. Special teams was trash. It was not fun to watch. Give Jimmy Horn Jr. every opportunity. Make him prove that he can't do it. Don't make anyone else prove that they can. Make Jimmy Horn Jr. prove that he can't do it, because that's the only one you got that is exciting and that has the potential that Jimmy has and that has the experience. Jimmy's returned it, man. He's your punt returner. I like ETN, fine. A lot of people will say, well, he fumbled it. He didn't fumble it. Nick Scott hip checked him. Like, maybe the Hurricanes need to holler at Nick Scott and find out if he can skate. that was a clean check. That was a clean hip check.
No, thank you.
No, thank you. Bryson won't even have that. He wants no part of this. Don't ruin his other
No,
sport.
Thank you.
But no, Trevor Etienne, I got no problem giving him some looks at kick returner. Because I thought that when he had a return, he actually had to put a pretty nice return together. And with the new format, I think having a running back or a wide receiver back there who can read those lanes, it's essentially a run play. Like, that's what it is, right? It's a stretch play. So, yeah, I think that makes sense. But Jimmy Horn Jr., man, until he can't do it, he doesn't.
Yeah, I'm not going to keep going on what you guys were harping on. I did want to shout out Gifford, because he had a touchdown saving tackle on
about
special
that
teams in that. I think it was on a kick return. So kudos to him, because that could have gotten ugly pretty quick. Like Ricky said, I
done heard somebody talk about Gifford as a special teams potential impact player. I don't remember who it was, but I heard
no idea,
somebody.
Ricky.
Yeah,
no idea.
I know.
I think it was me.
I think it was Bryson too. Yep. Put it out there on the internet. Bryson nailed that one.
But I do want to shout out to it. You guys talked about it
for what it's worth.
Sam Martin, man, I'll tell you what, and you guys didn't mention this. His hang time, I don't know what it was, but I just noticed that, like, he let that ball way up in the air for these guys to get down there in coverage on some of those special teams punts that they had. And that's what I noticed, the difference between him and Hecker, because those guys were down there, they were near the ball and ready to hit someone. And it wasn't like, they were 10, 15 yards still to get there and still trailing. So that's the thing I appreciated the most about him. So yeah, I know initially when we signed him too, I was kind of like Ricky. I didn't know much about him. And it was a head scratcher because they didn't sign anyone over 28. And he seemed like a very similar guy to Johnny Hecker. Like his stats were very similar to his. So, but yeah, I'm not going to harp too much.
What about Thick Nasty does ask a good question here. Because I saw people tweet this during the game as well, that we were missing Sam Franklin Jr. on special teams. Thick Nasty says, who do we have as a leader for special teams this year now that Sam is gone?
I think it's Lathan Ransom. I do. I think
until Lathan becomes your starting safety, and then you don't want him playing special teams.
I think he brings the heat there. He's going to hit someone. He's got the tenacity, kind of like Franklin, and he just gives me similar vibes.
I think it's Claude and Chairless, and I think Claude being out this week was part of what made it look so bad. I've said before that I thought Claude had a place on this team because of his special teams contribution. I think that will continue. Trevion Thomas, maybe. I was really impressed with Trevion Thomas, guys. I don't know. We didn't get to talk about him.
Yeah, you name dropped him twice now.
I really liked him, man. I really liked what I saw from him. Physical ball player, instinctual, quick.
What number was he?
42. 42.
Oh, he was 42. Okay, I do remember 42.
I like him, man. I like him. So I got my eyes on Trevion Thomas for the next couple of weeks because I think he's fighting for a roster spot.
Bryson's confused. He doesn't know what the hell is going on.
No, I was looking at the roster because I remember 38 popping up a lot, I thought, but the roster's not showing me any 38. There's two 39s. So maybe I'm just confused on that. But yeah, I'll go with Claude and Chairless. I really don't know at this point who's going to be that leader of the special teams. I do think Clauden's been a contributor at that spot for a while. Maybe it turns out to be one of those third or fourth string corners, and maybe Thornton gets some play there if he's not above Bartholomew, or maybe it's the opposite in Bartholomew there. I think it's going to be someone similar to Franklin's build, his speed, power, and I think that's probably going to be your leader.
I do want to touch on this quickly because this was a conversation that came up today, and I think at least we should talk about it. I know it's going back to the defense, but what do we think about Evero? He talked about today that I think Sheena was the one who asked him, is JC going to travel this year? And he's like, I'm not sure yet. Thoughts on that? I feel like we all have said in the past, like we'd love to see JC Horn following the best wideout on the other team, and that really hasn't come to fruition at this point. But Ricky, thoughts on Evero's comments?
Well, I think it's
hold on. Do you think it's a roster issue where they don't trust the other guys, so they need JC on one half of the field to shut down one half? Or do you think it's just a lack of Evero's scheme?
I think it's the first one more than it is the second one. But I think that it's also he doesn't know who his starters are right now, if you want my honest opinion. He doesn't know who's starting at safety. So he doesn't know how to envision what that looks like. He doesn't know what personnel will be seeing the field the most. Is it three safeties? Is Shaw Smith Wade going to be on the field all the time? Is Mike Jack going to be on there? Is Corey Thornton going to be on there? That I think plays a big part. Because what we talked about with JC not being able to travel in previous seasons is the lack of talent around him, right? So that still is a big question to be asked because as we've talked about, guys, they haven't added a whole ton to that room outside of Trayvon Merrick. Like they've added small pieces that you're hoping could do more. And everyone's really excited about Corey Thornton and Jalen Coker and these undrafted free agents that we're finding, right? Those are supposed to be the sprinkles and the cherries on top of the ice cream sundae. Your draft picks are the fucking ice cream, for crying out loud. And we're asking the sprinkles to turn into ice cream scoops because we got a whole bunch of ice cream just melting away that can't even make it into the bowl. So if you want my opinion on this, man, like they've got to figure out how to get talent in and keep talent in a position to make an impact. And whether that's coaching up guys that are undrafted, 5th, 6th, 7th round, whatever it is, they've got to figure that out. Because I think Evero is saying to you, I don't know if I'm allowed to let JC travel until I know what these other guys are going to facilitate for me. But what I would look at Evero and ask is, why haven't you figured that out for 3 seasons? Why haven't you figured that out? Because Dave Canales came in here with Dan Morgan in 2 years and fixed the offensive line, brought in some talent, evaluated Bryce Young the correct way. Like, maybe if DJ Johnson wasn't DJ Johnson and somebody else was a 3rd-round pick that year, maybe you're in a different position, right? Maybe if, I don't know, there's other guys that are drafted in these ranges that we're not getting. So I just think that this is it's a snowball effect, and it's starting to come to a head.
I take a little bit different perspective on it. I think Ejiro Evero has showed us who he is in the defensive play caller. I don't think he's going to change. I think if he's asked this question and he says, I don't know yet, I think he's telling us no. I think he's going to continue to do what he does and play zone, keep JC on one side, and believe in his scheme that hasn't worked in Carolina, but he has belief in. I just think that we know what we're getting in Evero, and I'm thinking it's not going to change. Maybe to his detriment. Some fans would say hopefully to his detriment, but I think Horn's going to be what Horn's going to be in this scheme. I don't think that's changing under Evero.
Do y'all think there's a competitive part of this, Curtis? Do you think that this is also just I'm not going to tell opponents in the preseason what my defensive ideas are before we even get into a preparation week?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's playing it tight to the vest because he was even asked about something else, and he's like, I'm not going into scheme. So I think Mike K had asked it, and I can't remember what the question was. So, I think he's very buttoned up when it comes to that. Like, he ain't going to tell you anything, what they're going to try to do. That's just – he's been that way ever since he's been here. But I do kind of agree with Ricky you brought up a point I didn't even think about. Like, he doesn't know outside of JC what that room looks like. Oh, and Mike Jackson. He knows what he's got in Mike Jackson. But outside that room, like, they don't really know. But I also see Bryson's point. Like, I don't know if I was a bet man, I don't think JC Horn is going to travel. I think he should, but I don't know if he does. And, we'll see how that plays out. But, man, like, I'm not even going to go back into the defense of where I'm just worried about this defense as a whole. I do agree with you guys. I think there is some really good depth on the D line, but outside of that linebacker room, that safety room, Ricky mentioned it. They didn't add much besides Merrig to a room that was bottom of the league last year. So,
but we are going to see Derek Brown. We are going to see Bobby Brown playing with Derek Brown. Yeah. We are going to see Nick Scorton.
And we haven't seen that up to this point.
Right. And Nick Scorton, the guy that we all just, waxed poetically about tonight, we're going to see him play with that group as well. Yeah. All of those players playing on the field at the same time is going to make a difference too. So, like, it's really tough, man, to get a full beat on all of this through one preseason game where some guys weren't healthy, some guys weren't playing, JC didn't play. Like, this defense will look different, but the problem is going to be we run into what we ran into last year with the offense, where the offense didn't play together. So the first couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks is, do you have preseason when the record actually counts, right? Yeah. Like, are we going to have to experiment with all of these groupings and personnel packages and building continuity with each other while Trevor Lawrence and Kyler Murray and Drake May are across from us?
Also, Ricky, you didn't mention, also we have Nick Scott starting at safety, right? Like, he's going to bring a different aspect.
I think, Bryson, I'm going to take the approach that I might not mention that ever again, to be completely honest. Like, I feel like it's just going to make me vomit, and I don't want to throw up. So I think I'm just going to sit here and sip my Utica Club, which I had to open right when we started talking about Nick Scott being the starting safety.
Let's talk briefly about this preseason game this week. We obviously, I think joint practice is going to be Thursday. if I'm not mistaken. Tomorrow is the travel day. Thursday will be the joint practice, and then the game is on Saturday. Expectations. What do you guys think about the matchups? Is there any like certain matchups you're curious to watch? I know there's a few for me, but just what are your thoughts on them going up against the Texans? I'll just briefly mention I'm really curious to see this stout corner room in Houston versus this Panthers wide receiver room and how do they match up. But I'll let you guys fire away.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. I'm not exactly sure about Texans injuries and what players are out and what players are in, but Stingley is a very good corner, going up against T-Mac or XL if he's on the field. I think would be interesting to watch. I wouldn't expect any difference in regards to the amount of time the starters are playing. I don't know if Canales has mentioned that yet. In any
3 drives, I think.
Okay, 3 drives. So a little bit more. That's cool. That's great. We'll get to see a little bit more of Bryce, and hopefully this offense continues to show progress. The defense, having opportunity. I'm not sure how many drives or if at all CJ Stroud's going to play, but the defense having an opportunity versus a pretty good quarterback. He had a sophomore slump, but still, by all accounts, a good quarterback in this league. Bryson and CJ Stroud being best friends would be cool to see them pregame. Their interactions. But yeah, I'm excited. I think the only issue I have, Curtis, that we're both going to have is how are we going to watch this game, being in West Virginia with no cell phone service. So we're going to try to figure that out because I do want to watch it. We might have to go down the river and walk a little bit to try to get some cell signal and then try to figure out a way to get that stream on our phones. But yeah, that's for us to figure out.
So I think that Curtis, you brought up the wide receiver room for the Panthers and the secondary for the Texans. That's a great one. Derek Stingley Jr. is a fantastic corner. Can't wait to see him and T-Mac do battle. I also look forward to Xavier Legette and Derek Stingley doing battle because I want to see how Derek does with a physical specimen like XL. Like, let's don't forget that XL, this is also a point for him to prove something in this joint practice and in this game. Like, there was a lot of questions asked to our local media when XL got back into practice. Like, hey, how did he respond? Well, he responded fine. It's practice, right? Like, shook it off. It was no problem. How does he respond when he's playing against another team again? That's what I'm looking for. I want him to show out. Boys, like, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I want a blockbuster showing from Xavier Legette. I want him to shut everybody up that was saying that, like, he should be cut and all this kind of stuff. But I also want him to shut me up to an extent where he says, I'm just as good as Jalen Coker. Shut everybody up, man. Come out and do something, right? I want to see it. Kamari Lassiter is a terrific player in their secondary. I look forward to seeing him. Jalen Petrie, their safety nickel kind of extraordinaire. We know that CJ Gardner-Johnson is out. He hurt himself. He's maybe back in the regular season, but he's not playing preseason. Kalen Bullock is a young guy in that secondary. And then also their pass rush. So the Browns, man, we didn't get to see Myles Garrett, right? We didn't get to see any of that in the preseason game. I'm looking forward to seeing Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter. Sheldon Rankins, I don't know if he's going. But I would love to see that combo. That's Will Anderson is a beast, guys. Will Anderson is a monster coming off that edge. So I look forward to seeing him and Icky. That is the kind of player that has historically given Icky absolute fits. So I look forward to that. I also look forward to seeing what our interior line does. Robert Hunt and Austin Corbett over there on that right side. Who's going to play left guard? And how do they look with Icky? Is that Cade Mays or is it Brady Christensen? Or do we give Jatir Carter another chance because he responded pretty decently to his mistake? I guess that's probably my main ones that I look at. Of course, the CJ Stroud, Bryce Young narrative is a fun one, but they're not going to play against each other. And then on the Texan side, look, I was a big fan of Jaden Higgins. So I look forward to seeing how Jaden Higgins looks in against my team and being able to watch that close up. Jalen Noel and Jaden Higgins are really fun rookies together. And Nico Collins, if JC Horn gets to give it a go, is a really great competition for JC for a tune-up in the preseason.
Yeah, I want to see those Iowa State receivers for a fantasy perspective too. If I'm being honest, I want to see, but I don't know if Stroud. I've been trying to figure out if Stroud is going to be playing. I don't know if I'm going to guess he probably isn't in that game, but I'm just curious because I think that
They
could
should
be some
have him
really.
play, man. It doesn't
I love
baffle
it. I
y'all.
mean, Carolina.
Doesn't
I
it
think
baffle y'all though when you see teams now that are like, we're not going to play him? Like, what is that dumbass team down 20 right now? Atlanta. They're sitting there like, yeah, Michael Penix isn't going to play.
Dude, I thought the same thing. That's why I
Yeah.
tweeted sarcastically today about that because, I mean, haven't they learned from Carolina's mistakes? I mean, I get every team is different, but like,
Well, and Michael Penix is
played.
29 years old, and he started 3 games in his career. So, yeah, I mean, I guess he's got enough experience and age on his side, right?
Jeez. So, anyway, yeah, it's definitely interesting to see that now that we've been on the other side of that. So, but I think that's
good question there from AJ Marshall, Derek Brown.
Does he even? Did they say he's going to even play on Saturday?
I don't think they've come out and confirmed it. And actually, I listened to Mac and Bone today where he was on the show, and they asked him, they're like, "Hey, so how you feeling? You good? You good to go on Saturday? Like, can you break some news?" And he was like, I feel good. That's as much as I can say here is I feel pretty good. And God bless Mac, he tried his best to get him to say something, but Derek was a little bit too smart for Mac and Bone this morning.
I'd be kind of shocked if he did, but I think he does get some reps, and maybe it is this game because I don't know how much the starters are going to play in that week 3 game. So maybe it is, maybe a series or two just to say he's get some reps out in the game. But man, that I doubt that. Oh, there you go. Diller said he thinks Mike Case said they expect DB to play a little Saturday. So we'll see. But yeah, I think we're going to leave it there. We appreciate everyone tuning in tonight. Almost 300 people listening to us. I know we switched today on Tuesday, so we appreciate you guys who made the switch over and tuned in. Don't forget, and I forgot to run this banner while we were doing this. If I can find it, we got so many damn banners. There we go.
All these banners.
The Musim Muhammad signed jersey. Ricky's got it over his shoulder there. We'll be giving that away as we get closer to the season. And all you have to do is subscribe to our YouTube channel, screenshot it, send it to us, and we will enter you into the giveaway, and we will pick that right before the regular season kicks off.
Already framed. Like, it's going to come in a nice buttoned-up package. Like, all you got to do is take this thing out of the cardboard and hang it up somewhere so that all of your friends and family can be like, damn, that's nice as hell. Where'd you get that? And then you just, show them our logo and say, hey, Panthers on tap.
Amen to that. Well, hey, hopefully we see a little bit more shine from this offense, defense, get some good looks this weekend, and we will be back next week to talk about it all, and we'll preview that last preseason game. But until then, everyone,
how does Thick Nasty send a screenshot on YouTube? Can he send like a comment on this video?
I believe so. If you comment in the YouTube, we'll be able to make something happen.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut off your really nice outro, but I wanted him to at least get
No, you're good. Yeah. Just send it in there. I don't know if you can send pictures though. Otherwise you might have to do something on Twitter. I don't know. I don't know if you got that. So try that. But yeah, we'll put you in there if you can send us that. But yeah, hey, we'll be back next week talking more Panthers football, drinking some beer, and hopefully we're talking about some good things about both this offense and defense next week and special teams. But until then, keep pounding.